Hi guys, it is March 3rd today, which means it is World Book Day. Yay! I feel I haven't really done a video on anything like this yet, but oops, lights gone. I feel World Book Day is sort of important. We're undoubtedly in a digital age at the moment with movies, TVs, streaming, ebooks, ebook readers, etc. So, reading has become easier to do. So you don't need a big, thick book to take with you and read. You can have an ebook reader with thousands of books, hundreds of books on, so you can easily read. But with it being World Book Day, I do feel that having an actual book is better. Me personally, anyway. Because with an ebook reader, you don't get the feel, the pages, and the smells of the book. It may sound weird, but I do like how a book smells. When I get an ebook, I sniff it, because let's have a look at this one. Got this one. It just smells amazing. And I love the feel and the weight of it, and the fact that I can just bury myself in it without looking at another screen all day. So I figured for World Book Day, I would do a feature on my favourite books so far. So we'll start off with my first one. It is The Maze Runner by James Dasher. I was told to read this by my brother because he said it was good and he was going to throw them away, so I thought I'd read them, see what they're like. So I started this in January, I think, maybe February, and I started reading it and I got so involved in it, it literally took me about 2 weeks to read it. This was with work in between, so obviously I couldn't just read it all the way through. I'd take an hour a day before I went to bed just to read it, and then at weekends and days off I'd just go through it. And I loved it. And then I quickly moved on to the second book, The Scorched Trials. It took me about a week to read that, and then I finished with The Death Cure in about 3 or 4 days. Before that, I've never had a book like that, or a series of books that I just read like that I just go through and read. But this one I really loved. I don't want to give too much away because I know the story and I don't want anyone to go into it knowing parts of the story, because it's part of the excitement of it and that you get lost in it, that you know the story. But it follows a guy called Thomas. He's a teenager, and from the first start he's lost his memory, and he goes into a place where nobody has the memories, and they've got to work the way to find the way out of this maze, hence Maze Runner, to help solve the world of a dystopian future, which is pretty cool. That's the sort of link to my favourite books. It's like dystopian futures except for one. So my first 3 books I'd recommend you read: Maze Runner, Scorched Trials, The Death Cure. All the same series by James Dasher. And the second book, I've never felt as much heartbreak as I did in that book towards the end. I've never felt that in any book, or thankfully in real life yet. But I was so heartbroken. I was with the characters. He was heartbroken and I felt heartbroken. I still haven't quite gotten over it yet, and I finished that in February. So it's definitely worth a read. Don't watch the films. Read the book first and then watch the film. Because the Scorched Trials is totally different to the book, and then I think it's worse, but it's still entertaining. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It's perfect for me because it's like a book on me. It uses 80s music, 80s films, 80s geekery, 80s games. That is just me to a T. I love everything 80s. It's set in a future where everything's done online. So you go to a place, put on a VR headset, haptic gloves, connect to the internet, and you go to school. And then you can play games and go to work and do everything on this headset. And the creator of this system dies, And instead, he didn't have any family, so he didn't leave it to anybody, but he left it as a game where you need to unlock 3 gates and solve clues to be able to count yourself as the top gamer, the winner, and to own everything. And this is like a race against time for the main character, Wade, also known as his online alter ego is Parzival, as mine would be Jimgito or Jimmy. And he's going against everybody in the world, as well as a huge conglomeration that can throw all the money into it and everything. So it's a really good story. I highly recommend it for fellow geeks and gamers and 80s fans, 80s music, 80s films, because partway through, you'll be like, I've seen that film, I've seen that film, I've seen that film. I know what they're talking about. So that's number 4. Number 5 is another book by Ernest Cline, and that's his most recent one called Armada. This one isn't set in a future, but it's set kind of like now, and it involves it's an MMO basically called Armada, and it turns out it's a secret government drone pilot training simulator, which will be cool in real life. And like the top 6 get drafted into this army thing to save the world. Again, I don't want to give too much away because it's a really interesting story, but the main character is Zach Lightman, and he's just like in high school, and it's perfect. I love it. That's the recent one I finished. My final book is a Superman book. The DC Comics in me could not have a DC Comics book in there. But this one, it's not Superman. It's The Last Days of Krypton by Kevin J. Anderson. Now, we all know the backstory of Superman, where he was sent from a doomed planet Krypton by his father Jor-El and his mother Lara Van El. Now this story looks at the run-up to that. So it shows how Jor-El met Lara, how Zod became evil, and even mentions Brainiac taking Kandor, and it's just the run-up to see Jor-El's life on Krypton. And it's just perfect, because a lot of people who've seen Man of Steel thought, I want the Krypton scenes. I want a film based on Krypton. And this book is that film. And it's really well written, and it just highlights everything of the Superman lore. So to sum up, me personally, if you have kids, I would let them read to them. My fondest memories were of me and my dad. Me sitting on my dad's knee when I was in primary school, reading through books and just reading out loud to him. They were perfect times, and it's just what got me into reading. And you can learn so much from reading. You learn new grammar, new punctuation, new spellings, new words. You can't tell I learn new words because I can't use them. Yeah, it's just so good to read. So I think I've waffled on enough here. I'm on 9 minutes. So it's like, happy World Book Day.